Here's a modern day ghost story called Dating Apps Can Be Deadly. Julia was just about ready to give up online dating. Every guy she seemed to connect to was a creep, and it was only a matter of time until the red flags eventually unfurled themselves to her. Whether during initial back and forth texts with her online suitors or in the actual real world on the extremely awkward first dates. One guy even asked her how much she would charge for him to pee on her. Another guy ghosted her on the night of the date. He said he was in an Uber, but then he never showed up at the restaurant. And as she sat at the bar looking at her phone and waiting for him never to arrive, she noticed that he had unfriended her on Snapchat, which basically meant there was no potential of future contact, ever. Ugh. And then there was the last time, the dreaded catfish. He connected with her using fake pictures, and she had mistakenly given him her phone number. Well, then he started calling in the middle of the night, and she had to block him, and thank God he couldn't identify her with just her phone number. Right? Or could he? This was her mental state when she decided to use online dating one final time. She had Googled location-based dating apps in the hope that a man in her location or general vicinity would at least not be creepy. She was at least willing to take that chance. And that logic, I guess, held. Here's how this particular dating app supposedly worked. Using the phone's GPS, the app would record the locations you visited, and if another person using the app also frequented that establishment, then it would recommend that person for you to connect with, maybe for a love match. Now, Julia had always been a socialite in her hometown of Dallas, Texas, and she suspected that only high-class, quality men whom she would be interested in would also visit her favorite spots in Highland Park Village, one of the toniest enclaves of Dallas. Well, one night after meeting a few friends for margaritas at the Mi Casina Mexican restaurant, the app recommended a match for her. His name was Victor. And Victor seemed pretty normal, although in his profile picture he was wearing a Halloween costume, which might have been odd, except it was the week before Halloween, and maybe this guy just really liked getting dressed up for the holiday. In fact, Julia had handpicked her Halloween outfit based on the Netflix blockbuster Squid Game, which she was planning to wear to her office on that Friday, October 29th, 2021, which was that last workday before the holiday, which was on Sunday of the weekend. If she got positive reviews on her outfit from her coworkers, then she was going to wear it to the Halloween party at her apartment complex on the very night of Halloween. She decided to accept the connection request. A few hours later, she received a message on the app. It read, "Good evening, gorgeous. How are you?" She thought that was kind of a silly opening line, but decided to let it slide. "Great. How are you tonight?" Victor replied, "Fabulous. Got any plans for Halloween?" Julia wrote back that she did and that she was going to stop by her complex's party and compete for the top prize of Best Halloween Costume. He asked to exchange phone numbers, which she did, and there were only 3 days left until Halloween, so Julia decided to get excited about what might be a really, really fun holiday night. Now, Julia wasn't a big fan of the news. Foregoing papers and the nightly TV news, Julia got all of her information from Apple News on her new iPhone 13 Pro every night as she lay in bed before turning off the lights. For whatever reason, she totally missed the small regional news story running in the local news about a potential serial killer operating in the Deep Ellum neighborhood. As Halloween approached, Julia and her mystery suitor exchanged pleasant messages and decided to meet up in none other than Deep Ellum on the night of her Halloween party. That Halloween night, the club Bottled Blonde was going off the hook at midnight. Having won the best costume prize earlier that night at her apartment party, Julia was now dancing with her best friend whose boyfriend had splurged on a bottle service table. And the champagne was plentiful. Julia had received a few voice memo recordings from Victor in the past few minutes, And as she held up the phone to her ear, struggling to hear with the EDM music blasting over the din of the partying bottle blonde crowd, she thought she heard screams on the other end of the line. That couldn't be the case, though, she thought. It must have been just a bad recording or connection or something. I mean, to be honest, she was pretty freaking pissed off that she had gotten all dressed up and Victor was going to be yet another online dating no-show. As the club let out at 2 a.m., Victor was still nowhere to be found, and neither was Julia's Uber. After 30 minutes and 2 cancellations by 2 different Uber drivers, she got on the Lyft app, and apparently a Toyota Prius was en route to her. Julia watched as the Toyota Prius pulled around the corner. The Lyft logo glowed pink, and Julia noticed that the driver was wearing a werewolf mask as he pulled up. You know, one of those rubber ones with the dark hair on top and the crazy eyes and the red gums and the white snarling teeth. You know that one. Well, Julia climbed in the back seat. She checked her phone one more time to see if Victor had maybe called or texted. Nothing. On a whim, and since she was out of the club where the music made it difficult to hear, she decided to call Victor. Ring. Then a ring came from inside the car. Ring. Another ring. What the hell was it coming from the trunk? Ring. Victor's voicemail answered. A low moan came from the trunk. At this moment, Julia heard the child locks click, locked in the back seat of the car. The driver from behind the werewolf mask said, "Remember me?" Julia started to scream. She tried frantically to open the car doors with no success. In her terror, she looked in the back of the Prius and saw a body which appeared to be Victor's. He was still breathing, but barely. The werewolf driver said, "Was this your Halloween date? Were you looking forward to meeting him? Too bad you blocked me. Big mistake. I bet you thought I would never find you. But I did." A week later, the Dallas County Sheriff's Department found a burnt-out Toyota Prius in Oak Cliff along the banks of the Trinity River. The CSI team found a pink Lyft sticker, but when they contacted the rideshare provider, Lyft had no record of this particular vehicle in their database. Inside the Prius, they also found traces of blood, which could not be identified, except that they knew that the samples came from one female and one male. There was the obligatory press conference held by the police telling young women to be careful about meeting men off the internet. The police believed that there was a certain individual in the Deep Ellum area using social media and online dating to lure his victims. To this day, he's never been found. So this Halloween, whatever you do, think twice when you download that dating app. It could be a matter of life and death. The end.